Welcome to TFN Smart Trading Action Alert. I'm Laura Cadden. Recent market fluctuations have affected almost all categories of stocks and assets, including one of the fastest growing sectors this year, alternative energy stocks. Political and financial support has rallied around this industry. Analysts still contend that the health of the alternative energy sector has little to do with week-to-week price fluctuations, but with the key demand drivers on the national and global political and economic levels. To be sure, companies and governments have pledged to dramatically increase research and development investments in clean technologies. Future capitalists and venture capitalists and equity funds have earmarked hundreds of millions of dollars to invest. But how are these good intentions going to hold up in the face of market volatility? Not to mention the increased pressure on funds to generate reliable gains for their clients. I've invited Nick Hodge of Green Chip Stocks to tell us what's ahead for the alternative energy stocks. So Nick, given all the interest in green stocks lately, we're still seeing valuation drops. What do you think the future holds?
Well, I think it's important to note that really the entire market dropped about 10%. We saw a 10% correction when the Dow fell from 14,000 to just below 13,000. But what's important for me to notice is that the resiliency of the green stocks is really fascinating, how they have bounced back just a little bit faster than maybe some of the other sectors in the market.
So which particular technology do you see to really be the most promising right now?
Well, I think it's fair not to cut short all the possibilities. I think there's some possibilities to invest still with geothermal and biofuels and wind, but all these technologies are still really dependent on a local grid and a utility. So what we're seeing now is individual homeowners and corporation owners really trying to focus on solar power because they can generate some on-site electricity there, and they're really seeing how it affects their bottom line.
So solar.
I believe solar is going to be the one that's bouncing back the fastest and growing the most quickly.
Now, I've read your writings about concentrating solar power, CSP.
That's correct.
Can you describe what this is for our viewers?
Concentrating solar power is really what you think of when you were a little kid and you tried to fry an ant with a magnifying glass. It's focusing the sun's energy, basically the thermal energy, into one focal point and using that heat to heat a liquid or an oil to drive steam into a turbine, which then produces electricity. So rather than using photovoltaics, which creates the electricity directly, we're creating it indirectly through solar thermal power.
Now, the concentrating solar power, when I was doing research, I saw there's a huge plant in Egypt that's utilizing this technology that they're building right now. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's a plant just south of Cairo. I believe they're going to produce 150 megawatts of power using one of the three types of concentrating solar power, parabolic troughs.
Troughs. And there's three different types of
There is three types. The other two is a power tower, and the other one is a parabolic dish. But all three use mirrors that track the sun throughout the day, and it focuses the light, like I said, into one point.
So do you think that CSP is more promising than photovoltaics for the future of solar energy?
As far as creating energy, it might be a little more promising at this point, but for the individual investor, I don't believe that concentrating solar power is the way to go. Right now, more private firms are dominating this industry, so maybe not until there's a few more merger and acquisitions and a little bit more vertical integration are we going to see the concentrating solar power as a good play for the individual investor. As it stands right now, I think photovoltaics in their original form is the way for the investor to go.
Well, then, are there specific companies you have in mind?
Yeah, right now I like World Water and Power. This company is up over 700% since earlier this year. And what they do is they make modular and completely mobile solar panels. They mount them on a trailer that can be towed by a truck really anywhere in the world and used to power water pumps and pumps for irrigation and auxiliary devices in third world countries and really for disaster relief, anywhere really.
This is wonderful. Can I get you to write up this information and make it available for our viewers on our website?
Sure, I'll write up all this information, and I'll even tell you about another company I'm looking at that's doing some really cool stuff with building integrated photovoltaics.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for the information.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. To read Nick's research report, go to our homepage at www.taipanfinancialnews.com and look under Investment Strategies. To learn more about Nick's service, Green Chip Stocks, go to www.greenchipstocks.com. Please tune in next week for another profitable opportunity on TFN Smart Trading Action Alert. For Nick Hodge and TaipanFinancialNews.com, I'm Laura Cadden.